Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. First, I want to say good evening and welcome to the class of 2026. My name is Lori Cisco, and I'm one of the counselors from CHS who will be presenting to you this evening. First, I just want to say it's really nice to see so many students, parents, and logged in this evening to our webinar. On behalf of the CHS Counseling Department, we'd like to thank you for joining us. I also want to mention, if you're unable to attend this presentation in its entirety, or maybe you know of a friend or another parent who could not attend, tonight's webinar is being recorded and will be posted to our webpage shortly after its completion. Also, this PowerPoint is currently posted to our website where you have access to it immediately. So let's go ahead and get started. First, I'd like you to meet our counseling staff. Based on your last name, the following counselors will be assigned, work with your student throughout their high school career. First up, we have Mr. Troche. He works with students' last names of A through CHAT. Next, we have Mrs. Bergslein or Mrs. Vogel. She recently got married. She works with students' last names of CHAU through GON. Then we have Nikki Mitchell, who works with students' last names, GOO through LE. Then myself, Lori Cisco, who works with students' last names of LI through ON. Then we have Chivo Anderson, last names OO through SI. Now we have Paula A. Baer, last names SJ through Z. And last but not least, we have our support counselor, Miss Julianne Ciccarelli. She works with all students who have a 504, as well as offering other support services to all of our students. Okay, over the next few slides, what I'd like to do is review the information that counselors shared with your students during their U.S. history class earlier today. During our presentation, we showed students how to access the 9th grade course selection form, how to find valuable resources to aid in their selections, and also how to edit their selections once they were submitted. First, I want to show you how to access the 9th grade course selection resources. Now, everything that we're going to cover tonight will be on this specific page. So step 1, you're going to go to the CHS homepage. Step 2, in the navigation bar, you'll click on the counseling link, as you can see on the screen. And then step 3, once you receive the dropdown, you're going to click on the course selection for 2022-2023. Now, once you do that, this will take you to the web page that includes all of the resources needed for course selection. Looking at the first resource link, the one that's next to the yellow arrow, we have the Graduation and College Requirement Comparison PDF. This is a great chart that lists the Claremont High School graduation requirements, the UC CSU four-year college admission requirements, and also the NCAA requirements. We will be reviewing each of these requirements in more detail a little bit later in the presentation. On our second link, we have our CHS course description booklet. Every course that we offer at CHS, with the exception of some of our new courses, are listed in the course description book, along with any prerequisites. Our course description can be a very valuable resource to learn about the many courses that we offer at CHS. Now, I'll give you an example. For students often say, well, what's the difference between honors English and regular English? Well, if you look in the course description book, it's going to give you a brief description, as well as the prerequisites that's needed to be able to enroll in the course. Once you look up that information, then it helps students in making a more informed decision. Okay, on our third link, we have the CHS Elective Options. Every elective course that we offer at CHS, including our new courses, will be listed on this link. I strongly encourage students and parents to read through the list in its entirety, as we offer a ton of different elective options. Now, the fourth link that we have is our freshman course selection form. This is the link that students use today to submit their course requests. However, as I'm going to show you in just a little bit, students can edit their responses as many times as they want between now and Tuesday, March 15th at midnight. Now, the fifth link gives further details for any course that requires an application, interview, or audition. So if you select one of those courses, please check this link for the next steps to find out when or how to audition, when the interviews are happening, or where to find the application. All pertinent information for auditions, interviews, and applications are listed on that link. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, today we asked all students to submit their course requests. Once a student clicks submit, they were taken to this page right here, and where you can see that students can edit their responses as many times as they want between now and Tuesday, March 15th at midnight. Now, we reminded students, but I'll say it again, you must be logged into your CUSD Google account in order to access this page and edit your responses. Okay, as counselors, we understand that the transition to high school can be a big step, and students and parents often have a lot of questions. For that reason, the counselors from CHS will be holding additional question and answer session prior to the start of open house tomorrow at 5 p.m. We'll be taking questions at the end of this presentation this evening, but if you have additional questions, maybe after tonight's presentation, maybe after you look over to some of the resource materials, please use the link here to log in at 5 p.m. tomorrow. We're not going to be presenting again, but it's just a time for you to maybe ask some additional questions. Okay, moving on. So when does school start at Claremont High School? This year, school is going to start on Wednesday, August 31st. Registration will be held, as always, the week before school begins. For ninth grade in particular, the specific date will be held, registration will be held on Thursday, August 25th. At that time, that's where students will get their books, they'll receive their schedule, they'll receive their locker information, and they'll also get their ID cards. I also asked and really encourage you to plan for that entire day, because we do have a great event that's put on by our Link crew, which is our 11th and 12th grade leaders, who plan some fun activities for our incoming ninth graders. They give a tour and they plan some really fun games, and it's an opportunity to get to know some of the upperclassmen and really get a feel for the campus and to feel comfortable on our campus. So at CHS, we have two different start times. Students have the option to start at 0 period, enroll in a 0 through 5 schedule, or a first period and have a 1 through 6 schedule. Although many students may request a 0 period, we do have very limited opportunities in our 0 period course offerings. And I will mention that the majority of our students start at first period. A couple other points, students are required to enroll in 6 classes. We do have 1 lunch at CHS, and ninth graders are not allowed to leave campus during lunchtime. Clubs and organizations. At Claremont High School, we have over 80 clubs and organizations on our campus, and we strongly encourage students to get involved. Research shows that students who are involved are much more successful than those that are not. And it's just having that connection to campus that really helps students to be successful. So we strongly encourage all students to get involved. Now, the best way to do that in the fall, we have 2 days that we call Club Rush, where at lunchtime, our many different clubs and organizations will set up tables and students can check them out. They can find out what we have to offer, what the club entails, when they meet. It's also a time that they can sign up for any of the clubs and organizations that we have. So I really encourage you to take advantage to join, and you can check those out during our Club Rush that happens in the fall. After school athletics. If you're interested in participating in athletics, please know, students, you must have a 2.0 GPA, an overall GPA of a 2.0. You must have an athletic clearance that it is required. We also, if you have any questions about athletics, we have a really extensive athletics website that I encourage you, if you go to the main page, there is a button that says athletics, click on that and you can check out every single sport on our campus that we offer. However, if you have a question that maybe you can't find the answer to, you can always contact our athletic director, Mike Collins. His email address is listed here, as well as his phone number. The other thing I want to mention is if you participate in after-school athletics, you do receive 2.5 credits for every sporting event in every season you participate in. So for example, all ninth graders are required to take freshman PE. If you play in a sport and you participate in that sport all 4 years, you'll earn 2.5 credit each year. Thus, at the end of the 4 years, you will earn an additional 10 credits and complete your requirement of 20 credits of PE to graduate. Also keep in mind, some of our sports do have summer conditioning. For more information, you can check out our athletics webpage. Grades. At Claremont High School, we issue Tryout or progress grades every 6 weeks. At that time, we will send out a report card to each of you to your home. We have 2 semesters per school year. Grades earned each semester will be placed on your official transcript and will be with you forever. A C or better is required for all college prep courses and to continue on with any math and world language courses. Credits. Every course you take per semester of 5 is 5 credits. So if you take that class for a full year, you'll earn 5 credits per semester, 10 for the year. A D is passing, but a D is passing actually gets you high school credit, but it's not sufficient for you to move on in math, world language, or some of our higher level science classes. Also, a C, if you're planning on going to a 4-year college, a C, minimum C grade is required to apply to a 4-year college in those college preparatory classes. Also, F grades do not receive any credit. And if it's a required course, students, you will need to remediate that course if you receive an F. 220 credits are required for graduation. And here's a breakdown of those credits. So you can see here 220 credits is required. And if you go down, that adds up to 220. Now, I'm not going to go into each of these or read these specifically, but what I'm going to do is at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Anderson, and he's going to go through every single subject area and tell you what the high school graduation requirement is, as well as what the 4-year college admission requirement is. So, Mr. Anderson, go ahead. I'll let you take it away.
Right. As Ms. Cizik mentioned, these next slides are going to go more in depth with the high school graduation requirements, as well as what are referred to as the A through G requirements for Cal State and UC college admissions. Although they're the requirements for Cal State and UC college admissions, by meeting the A through G requirements, students are on track to meet the admission requirements for schools outside of the Cal State and UC system. So each year, we meet with students and we guide them through the graduation requirements as well as the A through G requirements, if that's their choice on what their post-secondary plan is. The first requirement is social science, also referred to as the A requirement for the Cal State and UC admission requirements. Students begin taking social science in 10th grade. So as we walked through the course request contract today with your students, they did not select a social science class. That begins in 10th grade with world history, and 11th grade, they complete US history. And as a senior in 12th grade, they complete a semester of government and a semester of economics to complete the 3-year graduation requirement. For the A through G requirement, it only requires 2 years for students to complete to be eligible for college admissions. 1 year of a world history and an additional year of US history. Later on, down the line, you'll see where that government and that economics course will fit in to fulfill another requirement from the Cal State and the UC system. English, referred to as the B requirement for the A through Gs, requires students to complete 4 years of English to graduate high school. This is identical to the requirement for UC and Cal State's admission. Students must complete 4 years of the English. And I want to backtrack. I know Ms. Cizik mentioned it before. D is the minimum grade to receive credit for a high school course. To receive credit or to meet the requirement for Cal State or UC admission, students must pass that course with a minimum grade of C or better. Math, the C requirement, 2 years to graduate from Claremont High School. 1 year must be integrated math 1 or higher, and then there's 1 additional year of any math course that we do offer here. The minimum requirement for UC and Cal State admissions is for students to complete 3 years of math up through integrated math 3. So they must show that they have completed integrated math 1, integrated math 2, as well as integrated math 3. It's highly recommended that students are enrolled in math all 4 years while they're at Claremont High School, regardless of their post-secondary plan. Math brings up a lot of questions, and we spent some time today when we were in the classroom with your students guiding them through their math selection. The first thing that they were asked, and if you review the form with them, they're going to be asked for their current math course. So if a student was in Math 8, Integrated Math 1, Math 8-1, they were asked to list that course, and we do have some students who are currently enrolled in Integrated Math 2 here at Claremont High School. So they were to list their current course. Next, they were asked for their current grade in that current course. And we're guided if the student is in Integrated Math A, and they're not really successful, struggling a bit in the Integrated Math 8 course with a grade of a fail, they were asked to select Integrated Math Readiness. This is a course that will give them additional support, close some of the gaps at Claremont High School, and will allow them and prepare them for the Integrated Math 1. If they're in Math A, and they're right around that C or D range, they were asked to select Integrated Math 1A. The next slide, I'll cover a little bit about what the Integrated Math 1A course is. If they're in Math 8 with a C or better, they were asked to select Integrated Math 1. If they're excelling in Integrated Math 8 and want to challenge themselves further beyond Integrated Math 1, there is an opportunity for students to take a placement test where they can move into Integrated Math 1-2. If they're currently in the Integrated Math 8-1 with a C or better, then they would select Integrated Math 1-2 when they enroll at Claremont High School. So if your student selected the Integrated Math 1A based on their current math course and current math grade, this is a 4-semester course. It breaks down the Integrated Math 1 over a 2-year period. So it goes a little bit slower with a little bit more support for students. Both the Integrated Math 1 and the Integrated Math 1A, 1B course meet the high school graduation requirement for Integrated Math 1. Students are on track to meet the high school graduation requirements, as well as they stay on track to meet the minimum requirement of getting through Integrated Math 3 for college admissions if they come in Integrated Math 1A. So I know that was a big question and a big concern that sometimes students feel like they're behind and they're off track to meet their high school graduation and post-secondary plan, but they are on pace to meet both of those. The math placement tests are not posted as of yet. Those will be posted on our website for late spring for anyone who wants to test into the Integrated Math 1-2 course. We did mention that year-end grades are going to be reviewed. So if students were unsure, or if they planned on bringing the grade up, or if their grade dropped for any reason, we always review and verify math placement. So there really isn't a wrong choice. We will verify and place students in their appropriate math course based on their final grades for this spring. The lab science, the D requirement, 2 years to graduate from Claremont High School, 1 year of a life science, 1 year of a physical science. Students will come in to Claremont High School with 1 of 2 courses. If they are in an Integrated Math 1 course or above, they will go into biology. If they're in Integrated Math 1A or Integrated Math Readiness, they will enroll in physical science. The college requirement requires 2 years minimum for students to complete for college admissions, 1 year of a life science and 1 year of a physical science. Again, as I mentioned, the science course is going to be based on the student's current math course when they enter Claremont High School. Both courses will keep students on track for graduation, as well as on track and on pace to meeting the A through G requirements. There is a 2-year 20-credit PE requirement. As Ms. Cizik mentioned before, all students must enroll in a ninth grade PE course. After completing their ninth grade course, they will receive 10 credits. If a student is in a sport, in band, in cheer, or on the dance team, they can receive 2.5 additional credits per season of participation. So a student who completes 4 seasons of the sport will earn those 10 additional credits and not be required to enroll in another year of PE. If students do not participate in any of those activities, they must complete the PE requirement either their 10th grade year, 11th grade year, or 12th grade year. Currently, we do have options after 9th grade for students to take PE over the summer, but it's not available for students to take that prior to their 9th grade year because they must enroll in freshman PE. World language, visual performing arts, the E and F requirement is combined for the high school graduation requirement. Students are required to complete 10 credits within world language, visual or performing art, or a career tech ed. So 1 year of either of those will meet the high school graduation requirement. The colleges, however, separate those 2 requirements into the E for world language. Students must complete 2 years of the same world language minimum to meet the college entrance requirement. Students must complete 1 year of a visual performing art to meet the F requirement for college admissions. We mentioned to your students today, as we were guiding them through selecting their courses, that there is a prerequisite to enroll in the first year of a world language at Claremont High School. They must earn a final grade of C or better in their 8th grade English course. We offer multiple world language options. We offer French, Spanish, as well as German up through the 4 years. We also offer a Spanish for heritage speakers for students whose home language may be Spanish. There is a test that we hold late spring for students to test into the heritage speakers Spanish course. The last is the G elective. So students must complete 1 year of an additional college prep elective course. All students by default meet this with the completion of government and economics. As mentioned before, there's only 2 years of social science required, but 3 years for high school. So that government and economics course automatically fulfills the G elective requirement for Cal State and UC admissions, or any course that you take beyond the minimum requirement in English, science, or math will fulfill that G elective as well. Freshmen have room in their schedule for 1 elective if they are taking a world language. If they choose not to take a world language or do not qualify to take a world language, they're able to choose 2 elective courses. We did advise them that when they're choosing their elective course to make sure that they're going through and they're taking time, not only choosing their primary choice, but also looking through and choosing their alternate courses. It happens often that their primary choice does not fit in their schedule or the course might be at capacity. So we ask them to choose 5 unique elective choices so that we can try our best to get students in one of those 5 choices of their liking. We do offer honors level courses, courses available to incoming freshmen at the honors level or honors freshman English. There is a summer assignment. Ms. Cizik mentioned that if you go to the course description booklet, it will give you a short detail of some of the differences between the college prep freshman English and the honors freshman English. There is a grade prereq. The grade prereq to enroll in honors freshman English is an A in your 8th grade English course for the spring semester. Students, as they progress through the world language, we are offering an honors level in honors Spanish 3, honors French 3, and honors German 3. Majority of our students are not coming in at the 3rd year of the world language, so it is limited to the honors course within the freshman English. Today, we guided your students through the electronic course selection. All of them were asked to complete the course selection. It is open and able to edit up through Tuesday, March 15th, midnight. As we spoke to most students, we thought, that most students will go back to that course request after tonight's meeting, after the open house tomorrow, after meeting with you, after getting questions answered, and they might want to change a couple of their choices that they selected. Counselors will review the course requests after that date, as well as once we have final grades. Any prereqs that were not met, we will amend those course requests in June to the appropriate courses for your students. And I know most students have met with our IB middle years coordinator. She's gonna come on in a minute and just kind of review this with you and see if you might be interested in the IB middle years program at Claremont High School for your student next year.
Hi, my name is Andrea Gosnell, and I am working at both El Roble and CHS to bring the IB middle years program to grades 7 through 10 next year. In order for your student to be a part of this program, they do need to opt in on the registration form. And so if they did not do that today, they would need to go back in and edit to include them in this program. So I just want to take a second to introduce the program to you, but we will also have a full information night just focusing on this program on the 14th at 7 o'clock. And more information will be sent out by Dr. O'Connor. But just to give you guys a brief overview, the intention of the program is to create global citizenship and embed that philosophy into all curricular areas that the students engage with in all of their courses. The program works off of all students' individual strengths. So teachers are trained to individualize the curriculum and give opportunities for students to not only engage in the curriculum on their strengths, but also show their understanding on their assessments in a variety of ways. Some students like to speak, some students are writers, some students can do things more digitally. So we like to give kids the opportunity to show their understanding in a variety of ways within the classroom. It also is embedded with the idea of international mindedness. This is layered in two parts. The first part is that cultural understanding, acknowledging that there are multiple cultures around the world, and learning about those cultures, their perspective can expand our knowledge and understanding of the world around us. Also, it's to engage in global issues. Our students are surrounded by technology and reading, listening, watching videos of issues around the world. But what does that mean? How do we analyze about that? And how do we incorporate that into our curriculum? So the program naturally embeds these topics into the curriculum as the teachers rewrite their curriculum to meet not only standards, but also IB philosophy. And finally, one thing that we talked about with all of your students when I was doing a class presentation for them was the idea of global sustainability. We have one Earth, and what is our role within that? And so we talk about our patterns and our behaviors and the impact that that is having on our globe, and how we need to shift our practice and how we can encourage others to do the same. So not only is the content shifting and the philosophy to align to IB, but there are significant instructional shifts, and teachers are all going through training to understand the philosophy of the program. The goal is that it's designed to remove barriers for learning. This program is intended for all students. It is not intended for one group of students, but all students, no matter their academic level. And it is our job as instructors to differentiate instruction to meet the needs of all students. It's developed with that idea of local and global context to build relevancy and purpose into the curriculum. Like if we're studying, for instance, Romeo and Juliet, that is a significant piece of literature, but how does that connect to kids in their current life, in our current society? So it's bridging in ideas to connect that curriculum and make it relevant to their interaction today. It's showing what you know in multiple ways. As I mentioned, we want to really identify student strengths and work upon them and let them show their knowledge through their strengths. It's based off of inquiry. So inquiry is the idea that we're not going to always feed the answer to students and design the curriculum and every single step along the way. We're going to let students do what we call productive struggle, where they are given information and they try to come up with their own understanding. The truth of the matter is we are not always going to be able to give kids the answer. And although they can look things up on Google, they can ask Alexa what answers are, what are they going to do with that information and how are they going to interpret it? So we are trying to give them those thinking skills required to be a functional citizen outside of the education system. And finally, it's informed by assessment. So as we create these units and we develop them in a collaborative manner with our teams, the teams work together to write assessments to assess whether or not the students are meeting mastery on the content, and then revise and reflect on the content based off of the results of those assessments. One huge component of the program is service and action, and it's not intended that students do extra service hours on top of their curriculum. It is intended that students are embedding the idea of service within their curriculum. So for instance, right now in 7th grade, students are working on a unit called Social Media, the Risk and Rewards. And there's an service and action project within it about creating a campaign and putting it on their social media and giving students, their own peers, truth about the benefits and the rewards. And finally, it's holistic in nature. It's acknowledging that academics are very essential, and that is the heart of where we are at school, why we are at school, excuse me. However, we want to acknowledge that there's more to developing a student than just academics. We want to worry and be concerned about their social and emotional learning. We want to acknowledge that we need to be helping them develop self-management and organization, working backwards to deadlines. So these are all skills that we expect kids to come to school equipped with. However, that is not always the case. So these ideas are embedded into all of the components of the program. This program does take, if we can move to the next slide, please, does take 3 years for full implementation. And we're right now in what you would consider the candidacy phase. We are currently sending teachers to training. We are having on-site training in the fall, and teachers are all going through the unit writing process to understand how to transform the curriculum that they once used to meet IB philosophy. We will continue the candidate phase next year as we continue to write units. So at the end of next year, half of the curriculum will be written into IB units, meeting IB philosophy for all students who are checking and opting into this program. And then we are going to be developing the multiple forms of assessment and the opportunity for service learning. In the fall of 2023, an IB team will come to Claremont Unified and authorize our program. They will inspect our curriculum, they will walk our classrooms, they will interview stakeholders to get an understanding of how we have developed the program for our students. This program is intended to be designed to meet the needs of our community. So not one program is the exact same. So the authorization team comes in to kind of evaluate the systems that we have established here. And finally, after that point, we are considered an authorized program, but it will take the following year to complete writing all of our curriculum and embedding all of the instruction. So although we are getting started on this process, it will not be completed until fall of 2024. If you would like more information on this program, again, Dr. O'Connor is going to be sending out all the information for a meeting on May 14th. And I think if I get permission, can I put it in the chat maybe? Can everyone see that? If not, Dr. O'Connor will send out all information.
I don't believe you can add it into the chat at this point. But we can definitely add it to the course request website.
Perfect.
So we can absolutely do that tonight. If you just send it to me, I will upload it onto the website tonight.
Perfect.
Okay, I think we're at questions. Is that correct? All right. Ms. Mitchell is typing an answer to that one. So please, if you have questions, we're going to answer them live right now. I know we've been answering some of them as we've gone along. So I will take questions, type them in the Q&A section, and we will answer them live. Any questions at all? Question, can you take any electives? Answer to that is there are some electives that are designed for sophomore, juniors, and seniors only. So there are some electives that are not offered for freshmen. That is true. And it could be because you have to take prerequisite courses like previous years. It could be because space available. We don't have space available for freshmen. It just depends on the elective itself. There are some electives that students cannot take, but generally speaking, all electives are offered to all students, just depending on their grade level and their prerequisites they've met.
Mr. Chosh, I also want to add, and we went over this with students today. I showed you earlier in the presentation that CHS elective link. That's one that we keep up to date every day. On that particular page, it has grade level. In there, it includes which grade levels can enroll in that specific elective, along with the prerequisite that's required, if there is one. So I strongly encourage you to use, once again, that course description book that lists all prerequisites, as well as that CHS elective link that also lists the grade level and prerequisite for each elective course.
Excellent. Thank you. I was just about to say that and my phone started ringing. Thank you, Mrs. Cizik. Next question here. My son was absent today. Where do we register? So if you go to the Claremont High School website and click on counseling and then course selection for 22-23, that is the course selection website. We actually took a video of one of the presentations. Mrs. Cizik, Mrs. Vogel, and Mrs. Mitchell were in the video presented to a classroom, and we posted that so your students, even if they missed today, could see what was presented in class. But all of the information is on that website. Again, Claremont High School website, click on counseling, and then click on course selection for 22-23.
And I'll just also add, in that video, we take the students through step by step by step. So I would encourage you to watch that video, maybe have your student do that yet this evening. It's a class period, so it's not too long. And then once again, just a reminder that tomorrow night, we are holding a question answer session at 5 o'clock prior to open house. So once your student goes through that process, if they have questions, they can always log back in tomorrow at 5 o'clock and we'll be available for any questions at that time.
Okay. Let's see. I see a couple of people answering questions in the chat, so I'm going to skip some of those. I'm going to go to this one. How would you be able to take tech ed during this coming summer? And will that fulfill the requirement for high school? Somebody want to field that question for us?
I will answer that. Typically the SLICE program, they offer tech ed. We haven't received the information yet, but it's still early. Normally we don't receive that till a little bit later. That SLICE class is taught by our tech ed teacher at Claremont High School. So my guess is information on that will be forthcoming. Now, we did have a number of students ask today, well, could I take it outside of Claremont High School? Yes, that is a possibility. I would encourage you, though, you need to reach out to your counselor. You want to make sure it is an approved course. I know some students have gone to options, maybe to method. Please reach out to your counselor and make sure it's an approved course before you enroll and complete the class. I'll also mention, too, we do offer the Tech Ed Challenge exam. We offer that multiple times throughout the year. We find many of our students have very advanced technological skills, can easily pass that test. If a student were to take that test and pass it, they've now met the requirement. They don't get credits, they don't get a grade, but the requirement is shown as met on their transcript. So I encourage students, you know what, if you have strong skills, maybe try the test. You can take it once per school year. If you don't pass it, then you could always take tech ed during the school year, or you could take it during the summer.
Excellent. Thank you, Mrs. Cizik. I appreciate that. Next question, after students make the course selection, can they still make changes? So students can make changes on their course selections all the way up until March 15th at 11:59 p.m. At that point, we do need to close it so that we can start the process of transferring that into our course scheduling system. We have to do that by then in order to ensure we have the correct counts for classes as we build a master schedule. So there is a timeline in which this happens. So you can make changes as many times as you want up until March 15th. Okay. I should say the end of the day, March 15th. Next question here. Is it possible to schedule a one-on-one with a counselor between now and March 15th to discuss what courses to take? Somebody want to pick that one up? Mr. Anderson, maybe? Mrs. Cizik?
I'll do that.
Oh, Mrs. Aver, perfect.
Unfortunately, we are working with close to 500 students at this time and multiple grade levels. A one-on-one is not possible at this time. That is why we spent time today in each classroom to try to answer questions, providing this forum tonight, as well as the Q&A tomorrow night, if you have specific questions. We're also answering questions that have been presented in a written format as well to try and assist families and students with their course selection questions.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, will tomorrow night's virtual presentation be recorded and available on CHS website? Tonight's presentation is being recorded and it will be available on CHS website probably tomorrow morning. Tomorrow night's is a question and answer session. So that is a time to come and ask counselors questions. There will be 7 of us there to work with students and to answer questions. I don't know if we will be recording that. Any thoughts on that, colleagues? I don't think we've discussed that.
I say, why not? Record it,
Yeah.
post it.
Okay. Why not? I would agree. There we go. Next question. What is the requirement for the IB program? Are there tests for that? I think Ms. Gosnell is answering that one. Ms. Gosnell, I don't know if you want to answer that live.
Wait,
That might be a question most people have.
If I can address 2 questions that have come up.
Yep.
So the IB will not interfere with any course selections. You can be an IB student and take any elective or be involved in any other program. It will not limit your student. It's adjusting the philosophy and intentions of the coursework in their core classes. And then also there are no entry requirements or tests to get into it. The intent is it's accessible for all students. So there are no tests to get into the program.
Could we also add though too that to distinguish MYP, middle years program, from the diploma program, because some families have been exposed to the diploma program option at the high school. IB diploma classes are only for juniors and seniors, but students who wish to be part of MYP will not have a designated MYP class on their freshman schedule. So I just want to make that distinction to help clarify between MYP and DP.
We've had multiple questions about getting a 0 period. I'm going to lump them all together here. Let me explain how scheduling for a 0 period works. At the end of this year, our administration will ask all of our teachers if they're interested in teaching a 0 period. It is the teacher's choice to make that decision. If they teach that period, we have classes to offer. If teachers are unwilling to do that, we have fewer classes to offer. It is based on space availability. And depending on what courses your student takes, we may or may not have the courses they're choosing in a 0 period. We do everything we can as counselors to meet the requests of every single one of our students. We spend a great deal of time trying to work it out in the best way possible for each of our students. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. There are certain students who will have very specific needs that we will try and meet. A good example of this is if students who, for example, might have a sibling who's taking a 0 period. That is a situation where we really do everything we can to get them together to start at the same time. Other situations might also require that. I would encourage you, if you have a specific situation, I would say shoot us an email, just so we know. We can add that to that information. I think that would be helpful to us. Any other thoughts on that, counselors?
I also want to add, I know that we have a number of students who are participate in sports who want to have a 0 period. Unfortunately, once again, I'll say it, we cannot accommodate every student. We do our best. So if you are someone that participates in sports and you want that 0 period, please request it, but just know that it's not necessarily guaranteed. When the master schedule is run, it actually places students in classes, and so it is random. But once again, we do our best to try and accommodate all students as much as we can.
Thank you, Mrs. Cizik. Next question, are 8th graders going into freshman year allowed to take summer school such as PE, art, or the mental and behavioral health course this summer? So do you want to pick that question up?
I will.
Yep, go ahead.
Unfortunately, rising freshmen, future freshmen cannot take PE or other classes at the high school because of their grade and being a rising freshman. But the intro to behavior and mental health that is being offered this summer is available to rising freshmen. So that is a possibility, but PE or art would not be options for your rising freshmen.
I also want to add on the PE, the reason it's not an option is that all freshmen are required to take the fitness grant, okay? So that's why every student has to be enrolled in PE in that 9th grade year because of that fitness grant. Now, we do have some students after 9th grade that do not participate in a sport that would like to take PE over summer, and that would be an option later on, but going into high school, in 9th grade, all 9th graders have to enroll in PE, and later on, you could take it in summer if that's something you choose to do.
Okay, next question. Does volleyball interfere with cheerleading? I don't know the answer to that. Does somebody else happen to know the answer to that one?
It depends on gender. So boys volleyball is in the spring and girls volleyball is in the fall. Cheer tends to be all 3 seasons, so it may interfere with the fall, winter, or spring cheer season.
That's one of those, I would reach out to the advisor to cheer or your sport, because I do know of some of our student athletes that also participate in cheer, and somehow they're able to make it work. It really depends on the sport and what that schedule looks like compared to what the cheer schedule looks like. So once again, go to our athletics webpage. You're able to make contact with the advisor or the coach for both programs.
Okay. Next question, does CHS offer any program that offers certification at the end of 4 years? For example, Cisco networking programming.
We currently do not have that, but there are classes within the ROP Consortium Regional Occupation Program, and Claremont belongs to the Baldy View ROP Consortium, and there may be classes in the years ahead that would be similar, but not that particular program or certification at this time.
Next question, if you are taking band, does that mean you do 1 year of PE? Or do you not have PE at all? Also, how does seasons work? So every freshman, regardless, actually, Mr. Anderson, you're gonna answer this. I'm gonna let Mr. Anderson take the lead. He's one of our coaches, so.
No, yes, just what Mr. Trost was mentioning, every freshman is required to take PE as a freshman. They will earn 10 credits. Any other activity you participate in, you will receive 2.5 credits towards that. Ben has a summer camp where they receive 2.5 credits from their participation in summer camp as well as at Ben activities. So if you are involved in Ben for 4 years, that will satisfy the additional 10 PE credit requirement.
Excellent, thank you. Next question, does the course selection form automatically register us as a student at CHS, or do we need to do another registration separately? So if your student is currently attending El Roble Intermediate School, Completing the CHS registration form takes care of the classes or the selection of classes. If your student is not currently attending Enroll Intermediate School, they actually would not be able to complete the form because they will not have a district login, and they would need to go through our district office in order to be able to register. So if you're not attending Claremont High School currently, you will want to go to the Claremont Unified School District's district office to register them.
I also want to add, and I didn't think about that, so I'm very thankful this person asked the question. For any new students that are hoping to attend Claremont Unified, as Mr. Trosh says, you need to go to the district office, but please know we do have a separate presentation that we hold for new students. Typically, it's the end of May or early June. For those who are late enrollees, we also typically offer one in August. Information will be given to you at that time. Once you are accepted into the district, completed all paperwork, they'll give you that information on how to attend our presentation for new enrollees in the district.
Okay, I had a question. Can you repeat the summer opportunities for freshmen? I think Ms. Abra, you answered that earlier. Would you mind just repeating that for us?
Yes, I will. So current 8th graders becoming freshmen in September, only option for summer school at this point is the ROP class, excuse me, the Pathways to Mental and Behavioral Health class that's offered this summer. And if there are additional options made available by the district, for example, to try to help students who are struggling in 8th grade, that might be launched at a separate date, but using the same summer school form. But at this point, rising freshmen have really one option currently in our summer school program.
Next question. When will the fall sports page be updated with tryout information? I'll take that one. No, Mr. Anderson, go right ahead. You know more about the sports than I do, so I'm gonna let you take that one. Perfect.
That information is usually published once our athletic director hears back from the coaches of the fall sports. There is a dead period, and I know he's currently working with coaches to get summer as well as tryout in fall schedules.
Perfect, thank you. Can students take summer school with an external provider? Will that credit be recognized?
I would encourage you to reach out to your counselor to ask that question. It really depends what the class is. Like I said, I had mentioned tech ed earlier. That's one option. Other than that, we really don't recommend students taking other courses, and I'll explain why. One is that it's not our curriculum. It doesn't always match up with what we're offering. And so if students want to take that to advance to a higher level, it can be difficult. But the biggest reason is, and I want you to think about this, a full year course is 36 weeks. Summer school is around 4 to 6 weeks. So to take 36 and to put it in that short amount of time, it's very difficult to learn all the concepts to advance to a higher level. And I say that because we did have some students ask today, well, hey, could I take math in advance? So I just wanted to address that it's not something we recommend. I've had students that have tried it, math, world language, and they're not always successful. It can be difficult. So that's not something we recommend. So at this time, you may want to consider tech ed, the introduction to mental health, which I'm very thankful because in the past we haven't had any courses for incoming 9th graders. So that's certainly an option. But please keep in mind, as you advance forward, we do offer more advancement type courses in the summer that you can take. I know that all of you coming in, 9th graders, you're eager, you want to get going, you want to push ahead, but just know, slow down. You'll have lots of opportunities later on.
Okay, excellent. Next question. And I know some are being typed on by my counselors. Thank you guys for doing that. How can we find out what after-school clubs are offered? How do we enroll in clubs? and I want to say thank you for asking this question. So we talk about this a lot. Being involved with Claremont High School is a really important thing. So I'm glad this question came up because we want our students getting involved in things. So after school clubs and also lunchtime clubs, that kind of stuff, we actually do Club Rush, and this happens early in the fall, typically early October. So within the first month of school. And that is at lunchtime. All of our clubs are on campus, and we are showcasing what each club does during lunchtime. And it's usually a 2-day event. So we will promote it a lot. Your students will hear about it when they come to Claremont High School. And we have a lot of clubs that happen on campus. And that is really the best time for students to start getting involved. So I thank you for asking that question. I'm really happy I saw that question. Let's see here. Is there any data to show what colleges CHS's graduates go to after high school? Anybody want to answer that one?
Historically, we post the colleges that our graduates are attending at every commencement ceremony. And I believe that our school profile, which is on the CHS website, also includes some of the colleges that our students do attend. But for privacy reasons, of course, we cannot disclose student names and colleges. That is not allowed.
We do have our students go to a diverse set of colleges. We have many students who attend Ivy Leagues. This year, we have a National Merit Scholar. We have a lot of amazing graduates at Claremont High School, but we have a very diverse set of colleges where our students will attend.
Can I add
All
one thing
across
to
the
that?
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to add, one of the things that students can look forward to is every year we do host a college fair. So students are continuously exposed to representatives, not just locally, but from outside of our region as well. And in our College and Career Center, which is housed in our library, Ms. Suzanne Miller is the one who orchestrates college visits. So especially in their junior and senior year, students are often, it's announced which schools will be on our campus on certain days, and students can often meet with college representatives. So again, there's lots of exposure to a variety of colleges and different types of institutions.
Okay, next question. I know, again, we're answering some in the text. My student is currently taking Tech Ed at El Roble. Does this course count for 5 credits at CHS? It does not count for credits, so they won't earn credits. However, it does check off the box. So it does meet the requirement for Tech Ed. It just means they're going to be able to choose another elective instead of taking Tech Ed when they get to the high school. Okay. Great question. Thank you. Any other questions before we end this evening's presentation?
I just want to add again that tomorrow night, I saw that actually Dr. O'Connor added to the main page from the Claremont High School website that tomorrow, right before, there's information on open house, but there's information specifically for a question and answer session at 5 p.m. Once again, that's prior to the start of open house. So if you think of other questions after you log off tonight, maybe you look at some of the resources, I encourage you to log in at 5. So either go to where I showed you earlier tonight, or you can go to the main page and you'll get the link there to log in. I've also had parents ask and say, well, what if I don't have questions? I just want to listen. That's okay too. Go ahead and log in. We'd love to have you.
Okay. I had a question. Can you put the slide where it shows your counselors and what the last names are? I don't know if we can get back to that, Mrs. Cizik, but if we can't, that is also available on the Claremont High School website. We're going backwards. Ooh, making me sick there.
I know, sorry about that.
It's okay. But it is also available on the Claremont High School website. So if you don't get this now, you can see this presentation. It's in a PDF form on the CHS website. In addition to that, it's listed on the general counseling page and has our emails there as well. Okay. And I think, oh, we got some more there. More came in. Let's see here. The mental health class A through G doesn't meet A through G requirements. ROP is in the process of submitting that to the UCs. We believe it will meet the G requirement based upon other courses at other districts that it does. So yes, we believe that will meet the G requirement. And I just lost my place here.
I also want to add, for those of you who maybe are considering that mental health class that is through our ROP program, they are in the process of also creating a second level. So your students, if they're really interested, this summer is really just a short introduction because it's only offered over the 3 weeks. And if your students want to enroll, select that as their elective for 9th grade, they can do that. And then next year as a sophomore, we're going to be offering a second level of that course. So I just want to mention that because it's not listed on our elective list because they haven't created, they're in the process of creating it. But I just want parents to be aware of that.
Okay. And again, I'll reiterate, it is in the process of being UC approved. And we have full confidence it will be based upon other programs in other districts. So we're confident of that. Do UCs like ROP classes? All of the Claremont High School ROP classes are UC approved as either a G elective or meeting the fine art. And I think even one meets a math elective course, if I remember correctly. So the answer is yes, UCs like them because they are UC approved. So that's a great question. Thank you. Let's see here. Let's see here. Will the summer mental health class have a remote Zoom option or is it in person only? It will be one or the other. I believe it is in person only. If somebody can check that for me. But I believe it is only in person only. It will not be both. It will be one or the other. Let's see here. Can you explain the G requirement? What is it? So under the Cal State UC entrance requirements, the last requirement, the one at the very bottom, is the G requirement. And it's an additional academic elective. So it's just one last requirement that students need to fulfill to get into a UC or a Cal State. Now, any courses they go above the minimum. So if they take multiple ROP courses or G requirements, or multiple fine art requirements, or multiple science requirements, that just increases the amount of A through G courses that they've taken and increases their competitiveness. Let's see here. How do you register for the mental health class this summer? There's a link on the Claremont High School course selection website. I almost said it wrong there. There's also a link on the Claremont High School general website. It's also linked within the course selection form that students started today. Okay.
Mr. Chosh, I do want to add, I did quickly look this up here because we do have a few that are going to be on Zoom. Most of our summer classes will be in person. The introduction to mental and behavioral health, that is in person, Monday through Thursday.
Thank you.
And virtually, it's going to be virtual on Fridays. So that's a little bit different than most. So Monday through Thursday will be in person. It's going to be virtual on Fridays, and it will be from 8 a.m. to 11:50. Okay. I would encourage you to, once again, go back to that course registration, and within there, we have this summer school link, and that's where you can sign up.
Okay, next question here. How about private schools and ROP classes? Is the same answer as the UCs? Yes. Again, private schools are going to look at ROP classes in the same way as UCs would. So absolutely they do. Okay. Where can I find the dates for summer school? So again, that is on the summer school registration form. So you'll be able to find the dates for that there. Does anybody have them offhand? I don't. Ms. Cizek, I know you were on that. Can you get that for us?
Yeah, I quickly pulled it up. It really depends on the course. The first session typically runs from June 24th through July 7th or July 15th. Once again, depending on the course. Okay. The second session is going to run from July 18th through August 5th. Now, like I said, you will need to look at the course registration, summer school registration form, because some of them are online, some of them in person. Most are in person. And then the times are 8 a.m. until 11:50 each day.
Okay. Question here, does the MYP program interfere with the IB diploma courses in junior and senior year? And does it make it less likely for us to get a 0 period? I will answer, and I'm going to ask Ms. Gosnell to chime in with me here for a second. The MYP program does not interfere with the IB diploma program in any way. And in fact, in many ways, it's going to help prepare our students for the IB diploma program and those courses. It uses the same philosophy of education, and it's really the key thing. It's the philosophy of education that we're looking for. And it really prepares them well for the IB diploma program. And does it make it less likely for us to get a 0 period? Absolutely not. That does not make a difference at all. Anything to add there?
Yeah, just to build on what Mr. Church is saying, is that the program is really about the philosophy of the International Baccalaureate and developing global citizenship. And that philosophy is embedded into all the courses that your students take if they opt into the program. It does not limit them by taking any elective or other program. You could still be an MYP student and get access to any elective or any extracurricular activity. It does not limit you. Another question was going back to a comment previously is about extra credits, and for colleges, the program in the 9th and 10th grade do not give any extra credits towards your GPA. It's more developing that thinking, the critical thinking, which connects to both 11 or all the 11th and 12th grade pathways being college prep, AP, or the DP program.
Okay, I think we're finishing up a couple questions there in the Q&A. Any last minute questions? I don't see any. Well, thank you again for joining us tonight. We'll go ahead and stop our presentation tonight. Again, a reminder, please join us tomorrow if you have any questions at all at 5 p.m. To ask us. We are here to support you and your students as you make these decisions. And we thank you again for joining us tonight. Have a wonderful evening.
Bye. Thank you.
Everybody.
Good night.
All right, team. Great job. See y'all tomorrow.
Good job, guys.